listeners, Harika here, and I'm super excited to welcome you to UppTalk. If you're ready to learn and get your hands work wonders in the world of information technology, then you're in the right place. When I say UppTalk, we are not just another edtech company. Consider we are your learning partner committed to unlocking your full potential. Whether you're stepping into the world of technology for the first time or looking to advance your career, we provide top-tier, hands-on courses to build up your career. Let's take our first step towards learning here and explore it.
Enterprise Password Vault. It is nothing but EPV. It is the core of the entire CyberArk solution. And we can call it as a secure storage location for storing all the privileged account information. And it was secured using CyberArk's patented vaulting technology. CyberArk has designed one vaulting technology and they took the patent rights on that. They secured that vault server using this vaulting technology. And it is not an average Windows server. There are 7 layers of security around the digital vault. First one is hierarchical encryption. Encryption hierarchy. Yesterday we saw like vault contains shapes and the shapes contains passwords. CyberArk has designed this vault by took the example of bank. In bank we have lockers. Inside lockers we can keep some gold or silver or some bonds or money. In the same way, we have vault inside vault, we have shapes and inside shapes privileged account, information or confines. Whenever, if you onboard any account into CyberArk shape, that account will be having some file key. Automatically, CyberArk will provide one unique object key to that respect to password. Just to understand this point, this will not ask by anyone, but for our knowledge sake, I am explaining. And this file key is encrypted with safe. And the safe key is encrypted with server. They have used AS256 algorithm in background. And the safe key is encrypted with recovery public key using RSA2248 algorithm. And the safe key we can decrypt using recovery private key. This recovery private key will be available in the master CD. Vault contains safes and safes contains password objects. Every password object is having one file key. Whenever, if you onboard any account, CyberArk itself will provide one unique object key. That key is nothing but a file key. This file key is encrypted with safe key and safe key is encrypted with server key. This is the encryption hierarchy. The algorithms that they have used will be AS256 and AS8148. Next one is session encryption. This is also one of the layers. Session encryption means we have multiple interfaces for accessing the vault data. First one is private R client and second one is password vault web access. Apart from this too, we have some other interfaces like PAC, CLAY and SDKs. PAC CLAY is nothing but private R command line interface and SDK software development keys. All these interfaces will communicate to the vault on the port 185. Here that encryption will occur in the client set. After entering username and password in the private R client, it will encrypt and it will reach to the vault server. In case if any hack hacks this information in middle, they can't decrypt. That kind of technology Cyber has used, that is nothing but a session encryption and it is one of the security layer for the vault. And next one is authentication. Authentication is nothing but in case. If you want to authenticate to any bank portal also, it will ask for username and password, and apart from that you will get one OTP. In the same way always, Cyber recommend us to implement two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication is nothing but user knows and user has. User knows his username and password, and the user has one token generated device like this. Always, Cyber recommends two-factor authentication. We need to implement two-factor authentication for logging into Cyber portal. It may be ping ID or it may be radius or it may be, sorry, I forget the other name, like SAM. We need to this one here itself. We need to integrate authentication for two means. We need to implement two-factor authentication for logging into Cyber portal. Next one is firewall. For the vault server, all the ports will be closed and only one port, that is 1 at 5, it will be open. In case if the firewall is down, there will not be any external communication allowed. Once you install the vault server, the existing firewalls, that Microsoft firewall, will be taken over by the Cyber and they will rebrand it as a Cyber hardened Windows firewall. Means they took control of that firewall and they will apply some security measures on that and they will close all the ports and they will open only 1 at 5 and also they will restrict the sum of the GPUs also. And as a part of this hardening, they will disable all the services and only 31 services in the vault server will be up and running. Apart in that 31, 6 services related to the vault. Next one is segregation of duties. Segregation of duties is nothing but in case if you log into the PVBio portal as an end user, you will be able to see only accounts there. And if you log into the PVBio portal as administrator, you can see all the tabs. And if you log into, you can see accounts tab and monitoring tab and reports tab. If you log into PVBio portal as an end user, you will be able to see only accounts tab. If you log into the PVDev portal as administrator means whenever. If you join any company, they will provide some administrator rights to this PVBio portal, but not all the rights, but you will be able to see all these tabs. Like that we can do the disaggregation of duties. Next one is comprehensive monitoring. We can do that live monitoring also and we can download the recordings for the previous sessions also. Next one is tamper-proof auditability. We can't edit any activity log of the cyber log. Whatever activity you have performed in the cyber log, that activity will be recorded in the activity log. We can't modify that log and these logs will be stored in the world server itself. For example, you have connected to this account, CyberUser1, and if you want to try to modify this log, you will not be able to do that. Here in the Activity tab, we can see the activity logs, whatever activity performed on this account. And also you can download the report for a specific time frame and for specific activities also. Here, Password Manager changed the password and Administrator retrieved the password. All these kinds of activity logs we can't modify. That is nothing but a tamper-proof auditability. These are all the 7 layers of security around the world. Next one is standalone Vault installation. For installing the Vault, we require the operator CD. Apart from the operator CD, Cyber will provide the master CD also. What is the difference between operator CD and master CD is nothing. But in the master CD, recovery private key will be available. And in operator CD, only two keys will be available: server key, recovery public key. In the encryption hierarchy, if you see that file key is encrypted with safe key and safe key is encrypted with server key. Whenever, if you want to start the vault server, definitely we require this server key. In case if this server key is missing, then we can't start the vault server. In what scenarios we record the master CD means? Master CD are required for emergency in case if you want to organize a master user, or if you want to recover the vault, or if you want to rekey the vault, we require this master CD. Next one, installation package. We require that even to date, they are still shipped on a CD or they're still sent just as the key file. Next one, I think if you have a secure file exchange access, then they will upload this. Keys to that FP portal. They will not ship this CD and all those things. I know it's a very silly thing, but I just wanted to be sure. And regarding that license bill, they will drop an email to your account's owner, who will be taking care of this entire thing. From account owner, we can gather this license file. In real time, if you want to install Vault Server, we need to follow up some of the prerequisites. Like we need to install this client for Microsoft Windows US packet, accept TCP/IP4 and TCP/IP6 in the network configuration. We need to remove all the other things. And we need to put IP address. DNS and preferred DNS is not required, but gateway we need to put. And these settings also we need to implement. Then prerequisites for installing the Vault server is Microsoft 10 ET framework. We have installed version 11.2. In a 11.2 version, that Microsoft ET framework will be available in the server installation package. But if you are going to install 11.4, this Microsoft and ET framework will not be available. You need to install this Microsoft ET framework initially in the Vault server. And then we need to run that setup of the Vault. Like that. In some versions they have included, and in some versions they haven't included this Microsoft ET framework. In case if you get any error like Microsoft ET framework 4.6 not found, then you can abort this installation and first install the ET framework, and then we can start the Vault installation. As I covered, a standalone installation and cluster node installation. In case if you want to install cluster node, you need to select this cluster node installation. But for installing cluster node, we have again some of the prerequisites. We required some shared storage, and the two nodes will be identical and connected via private network. A few of the things are the prerequisites for installing cluster node. And also we required one virtual IP also for installing this cluster. We have covered this part also. Like we can go with the default location. Destination location saves location, and we need to browse to location of your license file, operator CD. This part we can skip and we can configure later stage also. Or if you have that remote control agent type pterminal IP, we can configure and put one password. Master password needed to restart. That's it. Here, after installation of the Vault, we will get 6 default services. Total services will be reduced to 31 as a part of the hardening process. And in that 31 services, 6 services related to the Vault. This also. We have covered default users and default saves and configuration files, log file and license file, Vault hardening and security. Always in case if you are installing the Vault in virtual environment, That means on premise environment, we need to install the Vault server on a dedicated physical machine, as recommended by the Cyber. In case if you are implementing Cyber Working Cloud, either in Azure or AWS or GCP Cyber, I will provide those images. Just we need to fire up our server using those images. That's it. Post that we need to register our Vault. That is a different process. That steps will be available in the Docs Cyber Hub. In case if you are implementing installation of the Cyber in cloud environment, then we reach to Cyber. That they will provide those images based on our cloud region. And we need to fire up those images. That's it. But in case if you are installing Vault server in an on-premise environment, we need to install it on a dedicated physical machine. And here we have one more condition. We need not to install any third-party software in the Vault server, even antivirus also. And it should not be a member of any enterprise domain. This part will be common. A second and third steps will be common for both on-premise and cloud environments. We should not install any third-party software and it should not be a member of any enterprise domain. Means Vault server should be in the work group. It should not be joined to any domain. Again, this we have covered, and as a part of hardening process, all the ports will be blocked and only port number 1858 will be open. When we are holding it or maybe hosting it on cloud, then by default we will put it under only one VPC. But if we are looking at having two VPCs to be communicated, then we just need to ensure that between those VPCs, only port 1858 is open for the Vault communication. Is that how it is? Yep, definitely we require two VPCs. Our production will be in one VPC and DR will be in the other VPCs. In that case, we need to make sure, like in case if you are installing any of the component servers in the DR set in a different VPC, that port communication will be allowed. All the components will be communicated to the Vault on the port 1858. We need to request that cloud team to consider that network security groups or security groups inbound, outbound configuration rules by allowing port 1858. You need to prepare one seat like ports, Vault to component servers, component to Vault, all those kinds of stuff. And you need to provide that seat to that cloud team that they can configure the network security groups. Sure, but all the communication between the components happens only at 1858. But from PSM, if we were to take up any of the servers to be, or maybe any application to be, routed to RDP or PuTTY, then from PSM to the target server, we still have the 3389 or maybe 22 kind of a thing open. Correct? Correct. In case if it is database 1521 and some other port, we need to give PSM to target. These are all the ports need to open and Vault to components or Vault to target. In the target column, we need to mention our component servers and we need to give that port 1858. And if you want to take RDP of the Vault from any one of the component server, in case if you are considering that server as a CPM, then we need to ask them to allow port 3389 also. Like that, you need to prepare one table and you give that table to that cloud team. They will allow those ports. Thank you. Whatever services we are using, we have to ask the network team to enable the port services for the specific port number. You can use the Cyber itself. You can have this shown all the services in the Cyber of FH8. Put the as an NTP. It's going through 1858. Or if in the subvolume this RTP connection with port number 25 and this connection DBASE connection will be 886. Vault to two component servers. In here component server in the sense CPM, PSM, PSMP will be communicated on the port 1858. If you want to connect to any target server, then the port number will be different. Those ports will be opened from the PSM server to target server. In case if you are targeted Windows, then we require double create for RTP. And in case if you are targeted Linux or Unix, then we require 22 ports. In the same way for databases 1521 and for directories 389 or 6036, like that we have multiple other ports. We need to ask them to open these ports from our PSM server. Always that connectivity of the target server will happen from the PSM server only, not from the vault. Vault 2 components, we require this port number and PSM to target. We require different port numbers. I will go through this part while covering this PSM part. I will cover that port numbers also. In the same way, if you want to manage password management, we require a CP to Windows. We need to allow for 139, 445, and a CPM to Linux 2P2 to directories, again 3889 or 636, etc. Again, databases, some other ports like this. We need to prepare one net table kind of thing for all these ports, and we need to submit this request to the cloud security team that they can configure this as security groups and they will allow all the required ports. Yes, perfect, thank you. Next, ASIMA hardware security module. Hardware security module is used to store the keys, digital keys. Always, CyberArk recommends us to store the server key on the HM itself. In our lab, we stored our server key in the file system. In case, by any chance, if any hacker hacked the vault server means got the RDP access to the vault server, then easily they can stop the server or they can easily modify or delete the keys for interrupting our business. Always, CyberArk recommends us to store the server key in HCM. For storing server key in the HSM, we have two vendors, HMM vendors. One is NASCyber, another one is Tails. Again, it depends upon the company they will go for, the HM vendor. As I told you, we shouldn't install any third-party application in the Vault server. But except ASIM software, we shouldn't install any third-party applications into the Vault. For ASIM software, you can install in the Vault. Whatever vendor we have chosen by the company, those vendor software, ASIM software, we can install in the Vault and we can configure that HM. Here, for example, you have chosen the NASCyber software. NASCyber vendor will provide one HM software. We need to install that executable files in the Vault server before installing the Vault one. First, we need to install this NASCyber software, and then we need to configure this NASCyber software. For configuring NASCyber software, we need to allow some firewall rule. Means here we need to allow 9004, as I told you yesterday. In case, if you want to open any port apart from 3389, we need to write a rule allow non-standard FU address equal to here IP address of that asymmetric device S and port number 9004. And here we are opening TCP protocol. In case, if you are opening up both TCP and UDP, Then we need to write another line below and the protocol you need to mention UDP inbound and outbound. For communicating vault to the HSM, we required port 9004 should be opened from the vault to the HSM. For that reason, we have mentioned this rule in the depalming file, allow none, standard FPU address equal to IP address of the HSM device and port number. Here we mention both TCP inbound and outbound protocols, and protocol is TCP. And in the HMM section, we have few parameters. We need to mention these parameters also. There is that enfoster file, and in case if that connection got interrupted, and what are the error ports. We need to get all those things we need to configure in the depalming file. In case if you are integrating ASM with the Vault server, and definitely we need to take support from the vendor either in CPR or Tails because we are not expert in the HMM. Definitely we need to take support from the vendor, and in that call we can do that as screen sharing and we can configure the HSM. Coming to CyberArk port, we can run that commands whatever requirements means. If they ask us to open the firewall port from Vault to the Cyber, then we can enable this rule in the deployment. But we don't know these commands. How to enroll the HMN and how to move the key from the file system to ASM. All those things. They will suggest with some commands and we need to run those commands. Initially, that server key will be available in the some path in the file system. Once you integrate, that HSM server key will be available in the HMM. Whenever if you make any changes to the deployment file, we need to restart our Vault server. Do we need to change the depalm file like modification with allowing any port or any service specific IP from the firewall? Do we have to add the rules in the depalm file? Correct. Apart from the IP ports 39 or 630 syslog ports 514. Few ports by default will be open, but in case if you open any other ports like 3389 9004, you need to write this rule tell on none standard for address equal to this rule. What are the specific common rules? We have to be configured for the allowing a non standard IP address based on the request just from the client for the basic common use. Basic in the sense we will allow double trade name for taking the RTP of the Vault server and this HSMM port. And in case if you are integrating NP network time protocol, in that case also we need to allow 123 port number 123. Here can we allow a specific network with sub networks. Only a specific host. Only specific IP host. Only specific IP we can allow. Thank you. How much you will restrict access to the Vault, that much you will providing security to the Vault server. In case if you want to allow more ports also, you can do that. More IPs also you can do that. But what is the region for allowing all those ports? In case if you are integrating NTP, then we need to allow port 123. And if you are integrating HSMN, then we need to allow 9004. And for taking RTP of the Vault server, we need to allow 32899 port for a specific host. Based on the requirement, we need to allow those ports. That's it. Post restarting Vault. You can see like a server key will be available in the HCMN. Again, as I told you, in case if you are storing the key, server key in the HSM device, definitely we required help from that specific vendor, either Tails or NSPL. we can't do on our own, we can do related to CyberArk Prospector in case if they ask us to open port, we can open that port. And if they ask us to run commands related to CyberArk, we can run. But asym related commands we are not aware. Even though if you go through that documentation also, it will be recommended like we required that the vendor support for configuring HSM and moving the server key to the HSM. This is all about Vault Server. You need to create one more VM. In the yesterday's end of the session, I asked you to complete the installation of the one more VM, one more operating system. One more operating system, Windows or Windows only. I don't have the image file of the Windows. I will have you have that image file, ISO file. How do you have it? You meant to say just how we have installed that Vault operating system. In the same way, you need to install one more operating system for Active Directory. Just operating system and VMware tools, that's it. Once you have completed that activity, then we can install that ADDS services. Windows Server is onto HSM. Here you can change the naming, remove that 12 and put as AD Active Directory. Remove entire name. In case, if you want to save this VM files in a different location, you can browse and navigate to the direct location and create one more new folder. I think you have created VMN's folder somewhere else in case. If you are, then fine. This is not a vault, just it is an Active Directory. I think 6 GB is fine. Next finish. I did the virtual mission settings. See BODD startup. Power on this one. We need to install those roles using Server Manager only. I send one IP address to this mission. You have a send one IP address to Vault. Just send that next number to the AD. And here we need to put a preferred DNS also. Just same IP. There is no different DNS server. Just put the same server IP as your DNS server. CyberArk, I can still use it only for the password archival purpose, password storing purposes. We can use, few application teams. They don't want to rotate passwords of those application accounts. In case, if they want to vault the password into Vault, then we can create safe and we can store those passwords also. Whenever they're required, they can retrieve. Because here what is happening is locally, we just store the passwords, something called as a open source platform. Keep us most of the time, every individual team, they manage their own key passes. Maybe I was thinking We can store even files. Also, we can upload into Vault server. You need to create one safe and provide access. Alternate DNS is not required. Not required. I'll just say for this. Now maximize Server Manager and click on Add. Next. Here we are planning to install ADDS Active Directory Domain Services. Select the checkbox Add Features. Next and install. Next and install. This also default. Group Policy Management and all. We are not touching anything. Next and install. We can provide, like in case, if any team wants to store any Excel file or a Word file which is important, can provide that access also. And in case, if they want to store only passwords and if they don't want to rotate, those passwords might be due to some dependencies, we can do that also. Now we need to promote this domain, this server, as a domain controller. Now click on wait, click on that flag. You have a teal icon here. Click on that. Here, it is asking to promote this server as a domain controller. Click on that. Promote this server to a domain controller. Can you put it in a full screen, please? Here are three options. Add a domain controller to an existing domain. In case, if you have an existing domain and if you are planning to add extra domain controller, then we need to go with first option. And in case if you have a forest and if you want to add a new domain to that existing forest, then we will go with for a second option. But we don't have a forest, just we are creating the forest itself. We need to go with third option, third radio button. For example, Tixcom is a forest. And if you consider India TCS offices, INSCOM is a domain subdomain to that forest. In case, in India again we have Kolkata, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bangalore branches. In case, if you are planning to install domain controller in that existing domain, then we will go with that third option and we can give like Boringscom. Means that is a domain controller to the existing domain. But here we don't have any forest. We are creating one forest. You can give any domain name here. Cybercom or cyber anything. Now click on next. Put one password for recovery. Restore from the SOM. This password is not required at later stages, but you can send one password and it is fine. Or just pick up the whatever is there. This is recovery password, is it? Go for next. Again next. Here it will pop up automatically cyber. You can keep on clicking next time you install. Close this. It will reboot automatically. Before tomorrow's class, you need to spin up one more VMan, just operating system and VMware tools. In that, name that server as a component server. In tomorrow's class, we start installation of the PVBOS server. We'll try to complete the PW and CPM in a single installation part. Then, day after tomorrow, we'll go to the theory part. But can we not have the PVW and CPM installed at the same? AD? I'm not an AD. In a different server, third server will install all the three components, PVLU, CPM, and PSM, on a single server in our lab. You want me to install one more VM. You need to install two VMs. One is for AD, and the third one is for component server. The same VM. Just you need to spin up two VMs. One is for AD, and the third one is for component server. Just operating system and VMware tools. Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@upptalk.com.